Welcome to day 30. So, this is the 30th day since I've been making this video, so it's a really good milestone. And to kind of commemorate this milestone, I want to do something interesting. So, आजचा व्हिडिओ कम्प्लिटली मराठीत असणार आहे. हे डेफिनेटली खूप नवीन आहे माझ्यासाठी, कारण सगळ्यांचं आपलं एक कम्फर्ट झोन असतं आणि कम्फर्ट झोनची लँग्वेज असते. आणि मोस्टली माझ्यासाठी कम्फर्ट झोनची लँग्वेज इंग्लिश आहे प्रेझेंट करताना काही पण. बट आय थिंक इवन हा मराठीत व्हिडिओ बनवणं हा सुद्धा एक इंटरेस्टिंग चॅलेंज असेल. सो बघूया कसा होता हा व्हिडिओ. ऑलराईट, लेट्स स्टार्ट द डे. सो युजली मी संडेला ट्राय करतो की जे काही बेसिक गोष्टी ज्या करायच्या असतात, जसं की थोडं क्लिनिंग करणं, रूमचं क्लिनिंग किंवा घराचं क्लिनिंग किंवा थोडं किचनमध्ये क्लिनिंग किंवा थोडे कपडे धुणं. मी हाताने कपडे धुत नाही, बट कपडे मशीनमध्ये घालणं, अशा ज्या बेसिक गोष्टी असतात, म्हणजे या सगळ्या गोष्टी सकाळी झाल्यानंतर पुढचा दिवस काइंड ऑफ फ्री राहतो. ऑलराईट, लेट्स डू दिस. मी रूमची फुल वाट लावली आहे. सगळीकडे खूप जास्ती पसारा आहे. सो सगळं त्यावरून ठेवूया. असं सगळं आवरून बसायचं वेगळं सॅटिस्फॅक्शन असतं. असं छान क्लीन वाटतंय सगळं आता. सो आजचा लंच एकदम सिम्पल असणार आहे. आमटी, भात, ब्रॉकली. मला ब्रॉकली खूप आवडते आणि अशी एक स्टफ्ड ड्राईड मिरची आहे, त्याला असं फ्राय करून एकदम मस्त लागतं. कामं संपत नाही. आत्ताच सगळी भांडी धुतलेली, बट एका मील नंतरच परत तेवढीच भांडी झाली. तर कपडे वाळत घालायचे. लेट्स डू दिस. वेदर खूपच प्लेझंट आहे आज. जास्ती गरम पण नाही आहे आणि असं थंड पण नाही आहे. सो जस्ट थोडं वॉकला जाऊया खाली. ते लाईट खूपच जास्ती परफेक्ट आहे व्हिडिओसाठी. एकदम आपण घरी बनवतो त्या लिंबू पाण्यासारखं आहे. जस्ट फक्त थोडं काळं मीठ असतं तर परफेक्ट झालं असतं. सो मी बाहेर पडलेलो तेव्हा थोडं ग्रोसरी शॉपिंग केलं, जसं की तांदूळ वगैरे कम्प्लिटली संपलेलं. सो ते घेऊन आलो आणि घरी आल्यावर मी छान नॅप घेतली. आय थिंक दिवसभर खूपच टायर्ड होतो मी सगळ्या गोष्टी करून. सो आता खूप बरं वाटतंय. आजचं डिनर एकदम सिम्पल आहे. आमटी भात आणि सम अनियन विथ दॅट. मला असं अनियन खूप आवडतं सगळ्या गोष्टींबरोबर. सो दॅट्स इट फॉर डे 30. आय होप तुम्हाला व्हिडिओ आवडला असेल. आय सी यू गाइस टुमॉरो. Bye.
Welcome to the Barvé Cast, the flagship podcast of all things Barvé. I'm your host, Maya Barvé, and I'm super excited to welcome you to the Barvé Cast wedding special. That video snippet that you just saw was made by my next guest, Arshit, who just happens to be a YouTube enthusiast. You can catch a lot more of his videos on his YouTube channel. In the meantime, let's get to meet Arshit in more detail. All right, so today we have Arshit. Arshit, hello, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing good. How about you?
I'm doing good. Thanks for asking. Thank you for being here on a Sunday for you. So, why don't we just kick things off with a quick introduction about you? So, just tell our viewers who you are, what you do, and a little bit about you.
Hey everyone, my name is Arshit and I was born in Mumbai. Not sure if Navi Mumbai or Mumbai, because my mother, before she got married, she used to stay in Navi Mumbai, so it could have been Navi Mumbai as well. And I grew up a little bit in Andheri, initially, where we lived in a joint family, and then in Villeparle. And then after that, I've just grown up in Villeparle, gone to junior college in Villeparle. I did my engineering in IT from it's college called Thardumal Shahani in Bandra. And after I completed my engineering, so I got a job in Japan and I moved to Tokyo after that. And yeah, and actually, so how I ended up being in this podcast is that I will soon get married to Ankita. And that is how I'm included in the extended Barve family in some sense.
Yeah, thank you for that. Thank you for that really good overview. And you mentioned a lot of different things there. and we'll pull on all of those threads one by one, right? So yeah, so in terms of setting the relationship, you are the fiance of Ankita Jog. Ankita is, the daughter of Alpana. Alpana is the daughter of the late Vishwas Barvé. Vishwas Barve, or Jayu Kaka as we know him, is my dad's twin brother, right? So that makes me and Alpana as first cousins, me and Ankita as, second cousins once removed. I honestly don't know what that makes you and I, but you can just call me Mama. I think I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
So thank you for the introduction. I did not realize you were a Parla person as well. I know you said you were born in Navi Mumbai. So how old were you when you moved to Parla?
So, even though I may have been born in Mumbai, I spent a lot of my childhood in Andheri, actually,
Mm.
and that is where we lived in a joint family. And then, about when I was just transitioning to senior KG, which is which that age is 6 years, maybe 6 or 7, and that is when we moved to Ville Parle.
Is there a particular reason why you moved to Villeparle?
Yes, there is actually. So my mother growing up, so her school was really close to her house. And then she really wanted that same experience for us as well, that we could just walk to school. So even when we stayed in Andheri, we still went to a VPMS or MBH, the school in Villeparle. Then we had to take the bus. Then it was really difficult because the bus left really early in the morning, and then sometimes we missed the bus. So to just avoid all of that, and for me and my brother, for us to be easy going to school, she kind of planned this move to Villeparle.
I see. So MBH means Madhura Bhagwat, right? So I didn't realize you're
Correct.
a Madhura Bhagwat. Okay. And who all in your family? Are you the only child, or do you have siblings in your family?
Yes, so I have one elder brother, and so he is now married. So I have a sister-in-law, and they have a kid. So that, and then my mom and dad. So that makes us the family.
Which part of Villeparle did you live in?
Yes, yes. It was Paranspe Scheme B. So it was
Okay.
nearer to Santadanabai Road, near the Hanuman Mandir, near the highway.
Okay.
So the last lane, actually, road number 3, which is the closest to the highway.
Okay. And I guess your parents still live there in Paranspizis, so they still live in Parle.
So yes, they still live in Parle, but we moved another house. So now we are in Tejpal scheme, and that is where they live now.
Okay, so always Parleyites, right? Just moving from one street to the other, but always staying in Parleyites. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And does your brother and his wife and the kid, do they also live in Parla, or are they somewhere else?
They are actually in Canada, in
Oh, okay.
Toronto.
So which college did you go to before your engineering college?
Yes, I went to Sathe College, which earlier maybe was Parla College, but in when I went, it was called Sathe College.
Okay. Okay. So obviously MBH and Sate, so both, very local, very parla. So talk to me about how your schooling and that early college life was. Did you have a lot of friends? Did you have a small group of friends? Describe how your life was like growing up in that school and Sate College.
Of course, living in Villeparle, the community is always quite tight knit in some sense. And growing up, I was lucky to have a lot of kids, maybe not always of my age, but still hanging out together. Even from, so between me and my brother, we have 6 years of age difference. So we used to play a lot of cricket. And then I used to be playing with all of the kids who are elder than me, and so it was a lot of fun, and they always included me in their group. I think I have to credit my brother a lot for a lot of things, because a lot of things that he did I ended up doing as well. In terms of a school group, I did have quite close friends even from school, but we never really hung out after school because everybody kind of lived in different places, and after school everybody just went home, and then it was more about the kids in the locality, especially playing cricket in the evenings and just till late night. But junior college, Unfortunately, I did not really enjoy junior college much because I was in that grind of studying the for the entrance exams. So the way it really worked for almost 2 years is in the morning we used to have a lot of coaching classes which did the preparation for these exams, and then in the afternoon we had the actual going to the college, but that did not really mean much. Just went there, we sat for a bit, we attended a few practicals, and just came home. Yeah, those 2 years, like 11th standard and 12th standard, were just a lot of studying for the entrance exams.
But did you have any in your age who from your building who you hung out with and when you were growing up?
Yes. So the way it worked is that everybody in Paran Space Scheme Road number 3, that entire lane. So there were kids from all different buildings who used to play in the evening, and there were a couple of kids, a few buildings down the lane, who had the first PlayStation of the group, the Sony PlayStation. They had it with them, and yeah, I used to come back from school, go directly to their house, and just hang out there for a really long time.
What sort of games did you end up playing on the PlayStation?
Oh man. Yeah, it was a lot of car racing games. For some reason, we played a lot of WWE. It was very popular to as a multiplayer game on PS. Yeah, we played a lot of WWE.
So do you still play today?
I mean, yeah, I am still a light gamer. I mean, I do have a PS4 and I do play games on it, sometimes online, but I'm not a hardcore gamer as some of my other
Yeah.
friends are actually, who are really on to what is new in gaming and all of that.
Describe or talk to us how your engineering life was. 4 years of engineering. Like, was that a lot of studying? Was it a lot of partying, or was it a lot of bit of both?
It was, I'd say it was an okay experience. So, unfortunately, again, I found myself in a peculiar situation. So, I was in this college called TSEC, and I was in the IT department. In the first year, they put everybody together. They just mixed all the kids across various domains. So, I really made friends across different fields at that time. So it was not something as if I knew only people who were in IT. I knew a lot of people in a lot of different branches. So that was really nice. But then second year onwards, when I was with the IT group, so first year they did this mixing, and then from second year they segregated as per the domain. And we had this rule of like 75% attendance. So everybody really had to be in class and attend lectures, even though there was not a lot of learning going on at all times, but everybody just had to be present. So there was very little downtime to be out of class to do other fun things, at least in that time. So with college friends, I was not really able to really party a lot because everybody was just by the end of the day just tired and just wanted to go home. But with by the time I had luckily still kept in touch with all of my school friends who were especially from Parla, and all of them were also pursuing engineering in different colleges. Yeah, during that time we really had a really good time when we were back home after college. Yeah, there was this phase where we played a lot of carom. So every evening we just gathered at a house, we set up the carom, we had the whole light set up in the center, and yeah, we were really carom geeks for a good 6 months to 1 year.
Overall, how was your experience? Would you say you enjoyed your experience in college? Was it a good experience, or overall, how would you describe your experience in college?
Yeah, I mean, in hindsight, it was good. I made a few really good friends, and I think that that was really crucial, especially at that time, because in engineering, that is when you either push a little harder and get something bigger, or then you can maybe slack a little bit and then settle for something that you just have to settle for. So luckily I made a few set of friends who were really trying to push a little bit, and that really helped me, at least I believe. Even with this move to Tokyo, I couldn't have imagined making this move. This was not planned at all. This was nowhere in my mind that I want to make, like, want to move abroad, do this job here. But then just having that set of friends who were pushing the boundary a little bit, that was very nice.
Were you able to get a job straight away? Did you get campus placed, or what was your job hunt like after you graduated?
I mean, in the last year, I think that is when the placements happen. So yeah, I was having a really not good placement drive really, because there were a lot of companies coming and they were having all of these rounds, but I was not really able to crack any of the bigger companies that everybody was targeting for. So I was really disappointed in that sense, because I had all the knowledge, I could make it work. But then cracking interviews and group discussions, it's a whole another skill which I probably did not master at that time. And that probably does not really have to do anything with your knowledge of computer engineering, but just the knowledge of cracking interviews and how that works. So yeah, I was having a really not great placement round, but then I got placed in three companies, but all of them were what we call in India mass recruiters, which are these technology consultancy companies who hire a lot of students, and that is not something what I wanted to do. It's not saying that that is not good or someone should not do that, but just for me, that is not something that I wanted to do. So I just wanted like a solution to this entire situation, and that is when we heard of this company from Japan who will be hiring students, and they had a really big package that they would like to offer to these students. And yeah, initially I applied not really expecting much, because with having a not good placement drive and then targeting a company which is international, they're offering this big package. It was just not in my world in some sense. But I applied just to see how it goes. Yeah, there were at least five different rounds of interviews, technical, non-technical, then some coding rounds, an interview. So there were four rounds which happened in Mumbai, and in the fifth round, which so they actually had their group management fly to Delhi, and then they flew all of us to Delhi to attend that interview. And so then we had like final interview with the CTOs and the group management. And the weird thing about this entire thing was I actually did not prepare at all for this interview as much as I prepared for all of the other interviews which I could not crack. I just went and I was just myself through all of the interviews. This is what I know, this is what my thinking is, and this is what I can do. I just presented it as facts, being really honest on every level. And yeah, I they selected me, and then I moved to Tokyo.
At that time, I guess, two questions for you, right? One is, how did your parents take it when you told them that, hey, I'm leaving the country and I've got a job in a different country? So I'm just curious to hear what that conversation was. And secondly, to be quite honest, when you think of going abroad for working, especially when you're in IT, Japan or Tokyo is not the first country that comes to mind, right? So they're both a little exceptional cases. So I'm wondering how that conversation with your parents went, and what in your mind you were thinking about when being told that, hey, you've been offering a job in a not familiar place like Tokyo, right? So what went through your mind at that time?
Yeah. Yeah, that is a really good question. So, luckily, actually, in many cases like these, so my brother, so he had, by the time I was in engineering, he had already pursued his master's in the US. So he did higher education in the US, did work in the US for a few years. He was actually, so he, I mean, just to give you some reference, so he studied in Arlington, Texas, and
Okay.
then he worked uh, in Austin for about 4 years, if I'm not wrong. And luckily, I've had this fortune of him trailing a path that I've had to take, maybe in a different context, but it's a similar path, and it's been really easy for me to take that path. There have been fewer unknown variables with him already doing something like going international, being by himself, how that experience is like working in a foreign country. Although, yeah, Japan and US are quite different, but he had just laid that just his experience was really useful in that context. And for my parents, yeah, I'm sure. I mean, I'm sure every parent, when their probably kid moves away from them, are not the most ecstatic, but they're ecstatic for the kid's future. They want them to be happy. But yeah, I know that they are happy for us, like doing something for ourselves. But yeah, I'm sure they feel a little bit that okay, we are not at home with them at all times.
Have they had a chance to visit you in Japan yet?
Yes, in Mumbai, so we have two cats at home. So unfortunately, my mom and dad cannot travel at the same time because we have cats at home. So my mom has visited Tokyo this past year, and yeah, she has visited once.
Talk to me about how life in Tokyo is, right? You're a young software engineer, I would imagine you're kind of a little bit like a fish out of water because, the culture is different, the language is different. So talk to me about how your experience in Tokyo has been so far there for you.
I work in a company called Fast Retailing. So their business is actually technically not core IT. IT is a tool which they use to, of course, so they have this e-commerce website which they want to support. So that is the tool that they build internally. And luckily, so the company is quite big in terms of it is one of the bigger companies here in Japan, but the IT function was still relatively new. It was only started maybe 4 or 5 years before I joined, and hence the IT unit functioned really like a startup because the team was small, and there were a lot of things that needed to be done. There was a lot of scope to take initiative. There was no pressure of funding in some sense because the company was ready to put in the resources to build this IT function as much as needed. So it was quite exciting actually to work in this team, that there were always new things to do. There were, if you wanted to do something of your own, bring up a new idea, they were really open to it. As long as you can present it and it gets approved by the management, you can do it. So it was really exciting to work in the IT department in that time.
Specifically, being in Japan, interacting with your colleagues at work, and then more importantly, interacting with regular folks in Tokyo, right? How much of a language barrier are you finding, and what are you now doing to sort of get around that?
Yeah, it is a big thing because although all Japanese learn English as a part of their curriculum in school, but it's not really used a lot. So they lose touch of the English even though they learn it as a curriculum. So English is not a really popular language here in Japan. It's Japanese is everywhere. But luckily, in the IT department, there was a lot of non-Japanese members in that team as well, and a lot of people who did not speak Japanese. So the core language of communication in IT was decided that it has to be English, and everybody who works in IT has to be able to use English as their form of communication. So that was very nice. But so there is that layer when IT starts communicating with the business side to understand what it is that we need to build. Of course, what is being built, all that discussion happens in English, but then discussion about what is to be built, that part is all Japanese. The business side of the company, all the communication is in Japanese in that sense. Luckily, the company had really thought this through in the sense that they knew that we would need Japanese language training just from the beginning. So when we got hired, so we had this 2 month training program in Delhi, which was a Japanese language and culture training. And yeah, we were really lucky. So we stayed for 2 months in the Westin in Delhi, and it was like a five-star hotel, and it's just us kids going to class every day and learning Japanese and Japanese culture, and we're staying in this five-star hotel, and that was the thing. That was the job for 2 months, just to learn Japanese language and culture. And yeah, I really enjoyed that time. I gained like 8 kgs of weight because I was eating so much food. uh, yeah, that was interesting. But once we did make that move from Delhi to Tokyo, then we continued to have classes for about still a year and a half. Maybe weekly, we had 4 hours or 8 hours of Japanese learning that we continued. And then we appeared for these Japanese language proficiency tests. It's something like a TOEFL, but for Japanese, and they have these levels. So there's LGBT and what is it? N5, N4, N3, N2, and N1. And then, so N1 being the highest level there is. So I completed up to N2, which is what is required as like a business proficiency Japanese. And that is usually sufficient to communicate at work and even in daily life. And one is like you're now studying Japanese literature and now you need to learn Japanese from that perspective. So yeah, I did continue to study Japanese for quite some time.
So you're N2, so that means you're proficient in Japanese. So do you find yourself, are you very comfortable talking in Japanese when you go out to regular, not out, but not in work, but outside work, when you're taking a walk and you go to shops and stuff? Are you very comfortable conversing in Japanese?
Yes, I am at this point. Initially, it was really strange because, like, you're just used to being around things that you can read all the time. For example, if you take a walk in Ville Parle and you read a signboard, it is in English or maybe in Marathi, and you can read it. But initially, when I moved to Japan, everything is in Japanese, and I literally cannot read anything. That was my state at that point, and that was really strange because you're not just in a foreign country, you're in a foreign country where you are not able to understand what's going on in some sense. That was really tough in the beginning. And then, just as a necessity for that, we just had to brush up our Japanese and come up to speed. And I've just so learning language in my understanding is really core to understanding culture. So with learning Japanese, I've really been able to understand the subtle nuances that there are in the Japanese culture, which if you try to study culture directly, maybe you may not get these subtle nuances. But then that really helps in daily life about then what does this really mean and what should I do in this situation, something like that. But yeah, I'm able to function in the daily life, yeah, as normal.
So overall, what has been the most surprising thing about Japan for you, right? Either positive or negative. Obviously, every time you go to a place where you've never been before, you have some sort of expectations, knowingly or unknowingly, right? And some of them are met, some of them are not met. So, what has been the most surprising thing that you have learned about Japan so far?
They have really been able to maintain this kind of balance between history and new. This place I really like to visit in Japan is called Kyoto, which is a really popular tourist destination. But what is really is good about is they've just maintained this history and heritage so well. Is something I really appreciate.
So looks like overall you happy with Japan. You've been embracing the culture. You like working there. So do you see yourself living there a foreseeable future?
Yeah, yeah. Actually, I'm delving with this question right now, or almost trying to come to a conclusion about this. But I think I really like Japan, but for some reason I don't see as this being the place where I would settle down and live forever. But at least for a little more time, I see myself being here for maybe a year or at least a year and a half. Because what I'm trying to currently figure out is, so I still like working in this company that I work at, and they have operations globally. So I'm just trying to figure out what is the work that I want to do and where I can fit maybe in another location, and if that works. Strangely, I still have this calling for India, and I feel if I have to settle down and like be somewhere forever, then it might actually be India. So currently, I'm in the middle of navigating this move while I still enjoy, and I know I will miss many of these things that I've come to love about Japan. But it's still not, uh, I mean, there is a home, but it's still not home, if I can put it that way.
No, very well put. But I think that is a journey which everyone has to go by themselves, right? You can get inputs from others, but that is a journey that you'll have to go yourself, and it's going to be a very interesting journey. I can tell you from personal experience, trying to find what that final destination is. It's a very interesting journey. So good luck to you. Hope you find
Yeah.
what you're looking for. I want to take a couple of minutes to talk about Ankita now. Okay,
Okay.
so don't want to make it like a too many questions. So what I do is I'll just give you the floor. Take 2 3 5 minutes, and basically what I want you to do is to describe your relationship journey with Ankita.
Okay. Yes. This might be a bit long, but yes, let me speak about this. So my earliest memory of Ankita is actually from senior KG. In we went to the same school, which is what is it called? VPMS, which is the same primary school as MBH in Villeparle. And yeah, my earliest memory, and it is a very vivid memory in both of our minds, and we both remember this memory of each other that we were. So, if I can give more context, so me, another friend, and Ankita, and then one more girlfriend with her. It is a memory of these four people and just of us talking, and that has stayed with us for quite some time. But then after that, growing up, maybe in primary school, we don't really have like clear memories of each other, although we continued to be in the same school, but we were
Mm,
not really friends at that time. I had, I was friends with other guys, and then Ankita had her own group of girls who she was friends with. But then, as we moved into secondary school, which is from fifth standard, we were often in the same class. At times, so fifth, maybe one of those years we were not in the same class, but we were often in the same class. So maybe at that time, even Anushritai was still in school, and then Ankita was. Anushritai was very popular in school, at least in my remembrance of school. And then Ankita also, also of course by herself, and then Anushritai being also popular in school was part of that popular gang in some sense. And then she was very early on in the school council, and she was all into that. So all of that was already quite impressive to me. And I also joined, so I became the captain for my house in the school council, and then I was also into that cool. At least in my in my head, I was a part of that group of kids who are doing something different. As we moved further up till 10th standard, so in 10th standard kids, there is one head boy and head girl who is elected in the school. And as it happened to be, so Ankita was elected as the head girl, and then I was the head boy at that time. That was very nice. So that's my memory of Ankita in school in some sense. So Ankita pursued arts, and I pursued science. So we were a little bit in the different streams and a little bit doing our own thing. We continued to be in touch even in that time, but we were still not dating. Then, if we move further, which is engineering first year, that is when. This is who proposed whom is a little bit contentious, but at least I believe so. I proposed, but the thing is, something that I did not mention before. At that time, perhaps I did not really know what liking really means. I was
mm,
in sixth or seventh standard when that was the first time I actually told Ankita that I like her. And but I did not really know what that means. It was just something we used to talk and we were close, so I just mentioned it to her. And at that time, she was not sure that is what she wanted. So that is how it went. But we continued to stay friends in that time from the sixth or seventh standard up till I ended up asking her out quite a few times. So multiple times. So I continued to just be friends with her. We were really close friends, and we ended up being each other's best friends at times. And we used to speak with each other quite about all the different things that were going on around us, and that is how life just was. So yeah, I did ask her out multiple times, but then she was still trying to figure it out in her own time about what is it that she really wants. And then in the end, when I was in the first year of engineering, that is when was the first time she was convinced, even in her own mind, that this is what she wants. And that is when we got together. After, I don't know, we were friends for more than 10 years. We have this memory of each other from senior KG, and then us actually getting together. And the thing about that was, I just could not believe it. I was this kid who had continued to like a girl for a really long time, and now she is, and now that we are dating, that fact was just something my mind could not comprehend in some sense. So for 1 month, I just continued to ask her, "Are you sure? Yeah, nakki, nakki, nakki. This is what you want." Yeah, that was. I mean, it's interesting, but that is how it went. I just wanted her to be sure that this is what she wants. Through engineering college, we so her pursuing her graduate degree and we pursuing engineering, we continued to be together. And yes, that was a big point because I got a job at the end of my college to move to Tokyo. So that was a big thing because we would have to be apart for quite some time. But it was not really there was no discussion about what this means. Now you will be away. It was just something, okay, this is our reality and let's just work through it. I was really happy with how we tackled that particular situation because it was really challenging, not just being in one place, but then having to deal with the time difference, making sure that we were able to communicate at the right time. But I was really happy with how we have actually tackled this entire situation. After moving to Tokyo, maybe after 3 or 4 years, actually, we came to a point where we did not really want to do this long distance thing anymore. We're just trying to think of like what is the solution. And even I think with our parents, there were conversation about, okay, maybe you guys should get engaged and all of that. And with our parents, it was very easy. At least I believe, and I also know from Ankita is, so when even when we started dating, we had already been speaking to them. I mean, on each sides that, okay, there is this person who I like, and then Ankita probably was speaking at her house about this person who exists. And for me, it was going on for quite some time. So my mother was happy. Okay, you're finally dating that person you wanted to date. So she was quite happy with that. When we came to the decision of getting engaged or getting married, there was a little bit of turbulence, just in sense to get the timing right, because
Mhm.
there is that moment when you feel you are ready to kind of get married. And yeah, at least for me, I wanted to make sure that we are both there at the right, we're on the same page at the same time, so that there is no front and back on that one. So once we were sure about that, yeah, then we just went ahead and got engaged in a small ceremony. And then it happened to be, okay, now you guys have got engaged, maybe you also get married. And then that is how the preparations for the marriage started. For me, as you can imagine, this girl who I'd been thinking about for so many years, and I'm getting married to this, my best friend. So yeah, I'm very excited. And I'm really excited for all the wedding festivities and getting to know her family better. Uh, and actually, this is actually going to be my introduction to at least one part of her family. So that is interesting because they'll just not just get to know me, they'll get to know me quite a lot of detail. So
Right.
that is quite nice.
Yeah, so thank you very much for that really detailed overview, right? But I just want to roll it back a little bit, and there's something that you said caught my eye, and you said, about in terms of who asked whom, you said it was contentious. Although it's obvious that you were the one who was doing most of the asking, right? You asked her when you were in the sixth standard, and you continue to ask her, and then you continue to ask her, "Are you sure?" Why then is it contentious that who asked whom? Does she think she asked you, or what happened there that the whole contentious nature comes into play?
I mean, so the way it goes is that at that point, when we went, I mean, just before we actually started being together, so she knew that I liked her. That is something that was sure in her mind, that this person likes me wholeheartedly. She had not correspondingly conveyed the same feeling. So the last initiation, in some sense, was from her when she did finally say that she likes me back. And in that way, it became contentious. Okay, but I had been doing the asking for a really long time. So does it really count that you did it in the end?
Okay, so let's switch topics a little bit now, just to get to know you, Arshit, as a person a little better. So I'm going to ask you a series of either or questions, right? So there's no right or wrong answer. Whatever, just to get to know your personality, right? Okay. So
Yeah.
first question, I ask this for everyone. This is more that I want to know more than anything, but I'm just curious, right? Which is your current phone? Do you use an iPhone or do you use an Android?
Yes, I currently use an iPhone.
Okay. What model of iPhone do you use?
It is the iPhone 12, if I'm not wrong. Yeah,
Tw-
iPhone 12.
12. Okay. So 12 is not the current. So do you wait for the phone to die before you upgrade? When do you decide that it's time to upgrade your phone?
Yeah, I think I'm one of those people who, I mean, I like technology, but I don't always have to be on the latest technology. As long as my phone is functional and it continues to serve, so I mean, already a lot of functions. So I'm happy with the phone till it cannot function anymore.
Do you like music at all? Do you enjoy music?
Yes, I do like music.
Okay. So then what's your favorite genre? Do you prefer Bollywood music or do you prefer English music?
Interesting. I listen to a bit of everything. I do not have a favorite genre in that sense, but yeah, one genre that I really like is something we can describe as country, maybe. Just John Denver, country roads. It's just really calming in some sense. I really enjoy that kind of music.
That's very interesting. Okay. And I know you had sent me your favorite song, right, which is Sway by Michael Bublé. It's not really country song, and it's not really a recent song. It happened like 10, 12 years ago, right? If you were to pick up your phone, go to the music app, and you hit play, what song would start playing on your phone right now?
It's a song called "In the Club" by 50 Cent.
Okay.
It's a really rap rap kind of a
Yeah, it
song.
doesn't fit any
But
of the
yeah,
genres you talked about. So, okay. Okay. Next question. Would you rather have your vacation at the beach or would you rather do it in the mountains?
yes, I would rather do it in the mountains. Yeah, I think the beach and the mountain, I think comes from, so growing up in Mumbai, we've always had access to the beach. So the mountains have always been more attractive in that sense. And strangely, I mean, at least I do not really have a favorite destination if I were to put it that way. But so with family, I've been lucky enough to travel a lot in India. So we used to have annual holiday going
Mm.
north. We traveled a lot in all of those places. I really have fond memories of, for example, Nainital. But that memory, if I try to relive today, going there today, I'm not sure it would be as pleasant. That is my only concern about picking a favorite holiday destination in that sense. As of now, with me being in Japan, I think the place that I've enjoyed going the most is Kyoto. It's Kyoto was the capital of Japan before Tokyo. So when Japan was still under the imperial regime, Kyoto was the capital, and they have, I mean, leaving the history aside, they have just preserved that city quite nicely. And Japan overall, being a safe country to be in, so there's this area in Kyoto called Gion, which is where the geishas, which is, I mean, if I were to put it like the entertainers, they live. In the mornings, it is usually just hustling and bustling with tourists trying to capture. So the way it is, it's like a cobbled street with old Japanese houses. But at night, there is no one. But there is this yellow lighting in the street, and the streets are cobbled. So I mean, I'm not sure if everybody would enjoy it, but it's like there's literally no one on the street. But I really like to just walk there. It's just, perhaps I cannot describe it. It's just relaxing in a different sense. Just nobody being around, being able to walk through that street at night is quite an experience.
Yeah, let's go to the next question. Beer or wine or hard liquor? What's your poison of choice?
I used to enjoy beer before, but at this time, I just don't drink at all. I've just made this transition to not drinking, just by choice. And but yeah, I did enjoy the taste of beer quite a lot.
Okay, let's go on to the next question. So this is rather I wanted to say it's like a hot cake question, but then I realized you may already have done this. So let me ask you this: have you either done bungee jumping or skydiving?
No, yeah, that's
No.
a
Okay.
thing probably people should know about me. I'm not good with these adventure activities. I don't
You're
like
not good
that
with.
rush of adrenaline. Even roller coasters, I don't quite enjoy the crazy roller coasters. It's probably just not for me. I like just being on the ground.
Given that you don't like it, I'm going to force and ask you to pick one anyway. So would you, now that I know you don't like adventure sports, given a choice, if someone put a gun to your head and say you have to either do bungee jumping or skydiving, which one would you pick?
In that case, I think I would pick skydiving. I think that sounds.
Okay.
I mean, at least there is another person strapped to me. Maybe that'll help.
Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah. Okay. So let's go away from adventure sports into something a little bit more relaxing. So, do you usually prefer reading a book or would you rather go to a movie theater to watch a movie?
Yes, I prefer watching or consuming content digitally more than reading books. But just recently, actually, growing up, I actually, even my mom and my brother, they were really about reading books all the time. They really liked reading the novels, fiction. They enjoyed a lot of that. But I really just could not catch up to that, not for some reason. But
Mhm.
recently, I've just found myself gravitating towards non-fiction books a lot and just trying to pick up a book, read maybe a few pages a day. But yeah, I'm not as committed a reader as how some other people might be. So yeah, more digital content.
What's the most interesting movie you've seen recently?
Okay. Maybe it's a bit again strange with especially me being in Japan, but I really enjoyed Oppenheimer, how that experience was.
Yeah.
Uh, so interestingly, Oppenheimer did not release in Japan. I mean, maybe not interestingly, as
Gee, I
obviously,
wonder why. Yeah.
but
So,
luckily I
yeah.
was in India, and so I went to that movie with Ankita, and it was amazing. Just that
Okay.
experience.
Um, so here's another hot cake question, right? So, would you rather have a 1 minute conversation with your past self, or would you rather have a 1 minute conversation with your future self?
Good one. Yeah, definitely past self.
What message would you want to give your past self?
Growing up, I was, I mean, just a kid who did not speak too much or had this sense of lacking some confidence. And I'm not quite sure where that came from, but eventually, especially after college, after making this move and living by myself, I've really been able to outgrow that a lot, putting myself in situations where I just have to be outside my comfort zone is what I've learned to do and just grow out of that personality that I was before. So this does not define you. This lack of underconfidence is not what you are. It's just something that you have to grow out of in some sense.
Uh, just one more question, but I think you sort of answered that. It was school friends or college friends, right? So who do you, and even today now, when you think back and if you're still in touch with people, are you in touch more with school friends or college friends?
So I would say I'm equally in touch with both school friends and college friends, but there's just a lot more school friends that I'm in touch with. With college friends, it's like five people who have made it to that inner circle. So that's how it
Okay.
is.
So school friends more than college friends because you have the longer, right? And Ankita is one
Yeah.
of your school friends, so there's there's an answer there. Okay. So now let's switch topics again a little bit. Let's now talk about food. Okay.
Okay.
So do you consider yourself a foodie?
Yes, I'm a big foodie.
You're a big foodie. Um, are you vegetarian by any chance? Or do you eat everything?
Yes, again, recently I'm vegetarian. I'm just trying this out to see how this goes. But I think I do enjoy chicken. I used to eat chicken for quite some time, but just recently I'm vegetarian.
Must be very difficult practicing vegetarianism in Japan, I would imagine. Is it not?
It is, it is. Yeah, I have to make. So I'm a flexible vegetarian, so it's not by rule or any such requirement. So as much as I can avoid, I try to do it. But if there is no choice, then I have to eat something. So that is
Right.
my plan.
Okay. No, that's good. So you're a vegetarian by choice. It's not a. I like it. Flexible
Yes,
vegetarian. I like that choice. Okay. So do you cook a lot? I'm get at home. Okay.
yes, I do. I cook almost every day.
Okay. What's your favorite dish that you like to cook? That you end up cooking more often?
I mean, yeah, I like to cook. A lot of different things. So what I found is like cooking Indian food sometimes takes a lot of time. So I tend to if I need a quick solution, I tend to gravitate towards just making some quick pasta or something like that. But what I really enjoy is just simple pitla bhat, basmati chutney with cobra. That's my epic combo, which can just never disappoint.
Can you make that combo yourself?
Yes, I can.
Oh, awesome. Good. And so, but do you make it a lot at in Japan? You do? Okay.
Yes, yes,
You
because that is also really quick. Pitla is really quick to make, so I really enjoy. If I just if coming home after work, if I still need to cook something, then I'll go for something simple.
okay? That's cool. Um, do you have like a favorite midnight snack? Like if you suddenly wake up at 1 o'clock and you're hungry, what's your go-to midnight snack?
Ah, yes. So I end up snacking a lot of savory stuff more than sweet. So I really enjoy. So it's so tikhat kera wafers, which are long. So I don't know how to describe it, but say
Oh, you did a
lam.
good job. Long thicket
Lam
kela wafers.
yeah,
That
yeah,
does
yeah.
its job. Yeah.
It's been my favorite snack forever. Everybody around me knows that this is my favorite snack.
Okay. Good. So now the rest of the family now knows it. So expect to have a lot of bags come your ways for sure. So maybe not so much in Japan, but when you were, in Parla growing up, what was your favorite cuisine?
Yeah, I love Indian Chinese cuisine probably the most. It's yeah, I think I probably more other than maybe close second is like Punjabi chicken tikka and butter chicken and all of that stuff.
Okay.
But I would still say Indian Chinese takes the crown.
Indian Chinese take the crown. Okay, that's good. So American chop suey, Hakka noodles, right up your
Yeah,
alley, right?
all
So
of that.
okay.
And the
Ex-
good thing is I'm able to make that for myself as well. So if I
Oh,
want to cook it and have that experience here, I can do it. That's the best part.
so what dish can you make? Can you make American chop suey and Hakka noodles both?
Yeah, I can make so I don't make noodles a lot because I've not been able to perfect that, but I do a good fried rice and like the gravy, like the typical Manchurian gravy. I can do
Szechuan
that.
sauce, right? So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. Oh, good.
Yeah.
Now you're making me hungry. So that's good. So is there a dish of or what dish of your mom's do you miss the most in Tokyo?
Mm, that's a good one. It's uh it's very simple actually. It's also one of my go-to food. So my mom cooks a lot of different things, but this is one thing that I like a lot is so very simple dadpe pohe, which is actually not tricky to make, but somehow I just cannot get the balance right myself. Whenever at home and when she makes it, it's almost always perfect.
Yeah, you cannot go against mom's cooking, right? No one can duplicate it or replicate it. So even though
Yeah.
you may try. So okay, dadpe pohe. I like dadpe pohe too. So I might have to taste your mom's dadpe pohe. I'm sure they must be excellent.
Yes.
So
Yes.
so it's a two-part question. Has Ankita ever cooked for you? And have you ever cooked for Ankita?
Ankita, for me, maybe not yet actually. Ankita has not yet cooked for me. In Yeah, maybe not.
Okay.
But apart from maybe in like a potluck where everybody is eating, but
No, that doesn't
uh,
count. She needs to make it specifically for you, right? That's when it counts. It sounds like she hasn't done that yet. So you have
not
not.
yet.
You're about to get married to her, and you have no idea whether she's a good cook or not. So that's a very interesting decision, I must say. How about the other way around? Have you ever cooked for Ankita? Because you're obviously a good and accomplished cook yourself. But have you ever had a chance to cook something specifically for her?
Yes, yes, I have actually. I'm not sure if you know, but so she has visited Japan herself once, and that is when I got a chance to cook for her as well. And with cooking, since I really enjoy it, yeah, I'm not concerned, especially when we get married, and it will be really nice, and I think we will work
You'll
together
figure it
amazingly.
out, right? You'll figure it out. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So then the last question specific to food. You've been in Japan, Tokyo now for a while, right?
Mm.
Is there a specific Japanese dish that you really enjoy and that you really would like to eat when you go out?
Oh yeah, it's probably very cliche, but I enjoy the ramen a lot. It's It's just really good. Especially now it's winter, it's a really good time to have a really hot piping bowl of ramen. You can't beat it.
Okay, so now again a series of yes no questions. I'll ask you questions, you answer. These are sometimes could be embarrassing, could be a little eccentric, but the good news is I will not be pulling the thread or expanding. I asked you the question, you answer yes or no, and then we move on. And then the others can come in and ask you for more details. So, okay? All right.
Okay.
So, just simple yes or no. That's all I expect. Okay. So, number one, have you ever faked sick from work?
Yes, I have.
Have you ever smoked a cigarette?
No, I'm not.
Have you ever gotten a tattoo?
No, I'm not.
Okay. Have you ever dyed your hair?
Not, no, I have not, but I want to.
Okay. 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 Um, have you ever cheated on a test?
Yes.
Okay. Have you ever gone commando? And commando, for
Um,
those who are listening, don't know, let me explain what commando means. Commando means going and living your regular life without wearing underwear on that day. So the question is, have you ever gone commando?
I mean, not for long durations, but the answer is maybe still yes.
Yes. Okay, that's fine. That's okay. So next question. Have you ever made somebody cry?
Yes, unfortunately.
Okay. Have you ever thrown up on someone?
No.
Okay. Have you ever written a love letter?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean,
Have you ever
no.
received a love letter?
Uh, I mean, yes.
Okay.
Yes, I would say yes.
Okay. So you've both written a love letter and received a letter. Yes to both, right? Just wanted to clarify. Okay. Good. So I think that's 10 questions. We've learned a lot about you. So thank you. I won't pull any of those threads. And now we are almost coming to the end. So one last thing I want to talk to you about before we do the Barvé challenges. You had mentioned that for folks that don't know you, you are a YouTube enthusiast, which we haven't really covered, but I want to cover that a little bit. You mentioned that you enjoy cooking, which we did cover, and but you also mentioned that you enjoy or interested in farming, which I was extremely surprised by. So let's talk a little bit about the YouTube and the farming a little bit. So for those that don't know, and you don't know this, but when I introduce this segment, I'll be playing one of your clips at the very beginning. So by the time they get to this part, they would have seen one of your clips. But just describe to people, what attracted you to becoming a YouTube enthusiast, and what you're planning to achieve with that medium?
So when I was doing my engineering, I used to teach 11th and 12th standard kids computer science. So there is this subject some students take up. So since I had learned already that part at engineering level, I was happy to share that knowledge and with everybody else. And I think that is what really kind of sparked that interest in teaching. And I think I found that YouTube is a great medium to teaching as long as you can reach your audience, because it's just available not just at this moment but almost forever. That information, once you share, it's on the web uh, till YouTube maybe decides to take it down, but it will be there till almost the end of time in some sense. So, and my foray into YouTube initially was, so when it was more geared towards students, and especially students who don't really or can't able to figure out what is it that they want to do. The idea behind that was, so we imagine a profession, and we have a certain image of a particular profession, but we perhaps don't really necessarily know what the day to day of that profession is necessarily like. It's not always roses. What are the difficult parts and what are the good parts is something I wanted to highlight. So I started with like an interview series. I did with initially, I started with my brother. That was a really good and easy option. And then I interviewed one of my teachers who I was really inspired from, and whose teaching I really liked. And even at that time, I interviewed a farmer who uh, was really coming up. They built their own brand in farming. They produced their own stuff and made that into product. So at that time, I really started to understand some of the more detailed intricacies of farming and what goes into farming. And let's say it takes so much effort to make a particular grain, but it does not really sell at that price. And then, but the products made from those grains sell at a real premium. So that is an insight I got out of that. And so we did not speak of it, but so after 3 years in IT, I transitioned to a completely different vertical in my company in sustainability. So what we uh, it's a really broad definition in terms of scope of work, but I'm essentially working like a consultant in sustainability domain, and I may have to work on any project, being raw materials, be it marketing, be it some other project that the company just needs working on. In that area, I was exposed a lot to cotton growing, what goes into cotton growing, what are the challenges in cotton growing, and what are the challenges that the farmers face while growing cotton. I mean, it's difficult to reinvent farming, but you can do things in a more optimized way, because in India, what sometimes really happens is, I'm certain, and I've also visited farms in India, and I know that the farmers know what they are doing. There is still a lot of scope to optimize operations, and that is one way to reduce costs, have better product, have lesser environmental impact. So that is really a space that is really close to my heart. Being able to grow your own food, that's for me is like the highest level of achievement there is, because the food is basically all we really need to sustain
Right.
ourselves in some sense. So I really appreciate farming and farmers who grow food for us. So that is an area I'm trying to foray into, but being in Japan, it's a little tricky, but trying to figure out one step at a time.
So, last section for the podcast now. If there is one person whom you would want to see on this show, who would that be? And what one question would you want me to ask them?
Yeah, this is the only part which I could not really figure out by myself, because I think I've met a few members from the Barvé family, but it's still a very limited scope in some sense. Let me pick Shubham.
Yeah,
Does that work? Uh,
absolutely. Yeah. Is there a specific question you would want me to ask him?
there is not really a specific question I would like to ask him, but yeah, maybe if it may be a bit broad. what does he see himself do, especially after his engineering? Not in the sense of just work or masters, but how does he see applying this knowledge of that is accumulating? Or I'm not sure if he's thinking about all of this at this time, but just having that broader sense of what does he see himself doing in some sense.
And I think that's a great question to ask him, because to your point, he's probably not thinking about it because he's at that age where he shouldn't be thinking about it. But now that he's going to be on the show, and now that I'm going to ask him the question, he'll maybe start to think about it. So maybe it'll start that journey for him as well. So I think that's an excellent question to ask him. So I will definitely try and get him on, and I'll definitely ask him that question. So I think we've come to the end of the show now. Just one last question. Where can people find you on social media? Obviously, you're there on WhatsApp. Pretty soon, you'll be added to the Barvé group, whether you like it or not. So then you'll be exposed to a lot of people. But outside of WhatsApp, where can people find you? Obviously, you're on YouTube, right? So why don't you give people your channel handle and then tell them what other social media they can find you and what the handle would be.
Okay, so my YouTube channel is just called Arshit Chabukswar. I am on Instagram. You can find me as just Arshit underscore Arshit underscore. That is me on Instagram. And I'm on Twitter. My handle name on Twitter is @CelloGripper. And you can find me on Twitter with that.
Arshit, I can't thank you enough for being on this show. I know, it can be quite daunting when someone you've never heard of suddenly reaches out and say, "Hey, I want to interview you," right? So hopefully this has been a fun experience for you. I've learned a lot about you. I know when this episode drops, a lot of my family members are going to know a lot more about you, which was the whole point. But I'm sure they'll be reaching out to you as well. So thank you again for the show. I know you've got your wedding coming up, so congratulations and good luck on your wedding,
Thank
and
you.
hope to see you soon.
Yes, thank you so much. This was great, and I had a little bit of sense of nervousness when you initially reached out through Ankita about, okay, this podcast that you want me to be on, but this was an amazing experience, and thank you so much for making it really comfortable, and I was happy to speak about everything that I did.
And that's a wrap for this episode. We learned a lot about young Arshit, who's enjoying life in Tokyo and is about to get married to his childhood sweetheart. I'm your host, Ameya Barvé. Thank you so much for watching this wedding special. I'm going to leave you with Arshit's all-time favorite song. This is Sway by Michael Bublé. See you all next time.
When marimba rhythms start to play, dance with me, make me sway. Like a lazy ocean hugs the shore, hold me close, sway me more. Like a flower bending in the breeze, bend with me, sway with ease. But when you dance you have to be with me, stay with me, sway with me. Other dancers may be on the floor, dear, but my eyes will see only you. Only you have that magic technique. When we sway I go weak. I can hear the sound of violins long before it begins. Make me thrill as only you know how. Sway me smooth, sway me now. Other dancers may be on the floor, dear, but my eyes will see only you. Only you have that magic technique. When we sway I go weak. I can hear the sound of violins long before it begins. Make me thrill as only you know how. Sway me smooth, sway me now. When marimba rhythms start to play, dance with me, make me sway. Like a lazy ocean hugs the shore. Hold me close, sway me more. Like a flower bending in the breeze, bend with me, sway with me. When we dance you have a way with me. Stay with me, sway with me. When marimbas start to play, hold me close, make me sway. Like an ocean hugs the shore. Hold me close, sway me more.